everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. We went down to Georgia and picked up a puppy this week, so that's been a crazy week. And I'll tell you what, it's very warm down there. She's super sweet, and I'll attach a couple pictures to the email so you guys can see her. I know if she could, she would love to meet you. She's very cute, very much fluffier than we expected, very soft coated. It's kind of fun. So anyways, I will update you a little bit on that if you're curious. If not, no big deal. Guess what? We're down to 4 more videos, counting this one. So very exciting. All right, you guys are doing great. I'm going to start off today with some questions that we had from the week and make sure there was a few little points on the sheet you guys did, your treasure hunt, that I want to kind of talk about for a minute. And then we'll move into kind of an overview of what we're looking at for the rest of the year. Okay? All right. So let's start with these questions. So what I want to look at is with these indirect statements or indirect commands, okay? There's just a few things that I want to make sure that you have really solidified in your mind, okay? We know, of course, you guys already know this. Here's our subject. Here's our head verb, okay? Now, what we have inside here is a clause, okay? Anytime that we have a clause, we don't want to put parentheses because these are for our prepositional phrases, okay? So anytime you have a clause, we've had relative clauses so far. Those are the ones that start with the qui, quai quotes, you know, at the beginning, quem, quam quotes, those. So this is another time that you're going to see clauses, okay? What I want you to understand, besides just making sure that you do brackets, okay, so if you did something different besides brackets or you didn't bracket, you really need to do that, okay, because you need to understand, here's your main sentence, here's your clause, and that's going to become more and more important as you go along in Latin, being able to understand where your clauses are. Okay, every clause has a subject and verb, okay? Now, Latin is really cool because it's giving you these hints at what's going on in your sentence based on the endings, right? It's different than the way that we speak our English, okay? The way that we understand our English is largely by word order, okay? The doctor says. So we put those together so that we understand in our English speaking mind that that's the two things that are going, that it's the doctor that's speaking, ordering. It's the doctor that's ordering, okay? The doctor orders that the boy close his eyes, okay? So we put the words together in a certain order. Well, in Latin, they don't need the word order because of their endings, okay? So one of the ways that they're distinguishing between their subject and their accusative subject is by their ending, okay? So when they have these indirect statements or indirect commands, this is not a direct object. This is actually an accusative subject, okay? So this one has an accusative subject. Here's its verb, and its verb is in an infinitive form, again, so you can tell the difference, because there are many times when you get further on in Latin that all of this is so mixed up that you really have to find these different parts and pieces, okay? However, this is a direct object, okay? This is directly receiving the action of being closed, okay? So the doctor orders the boy to, also, I think I may have said open earlier, so I don't know what I said, to close his eyes, okay? So I want you to know that this is not a direct object. You need to know that, okay? This is actually an accusative subject, and they put it in the accusative in order for their listener or their reader to know that they're talking in an indirect statement here, okay? All right, so if we look at this one, again, we have our subject, our head verb, okay? brackets around our clause here. Again, here's our accusative subject, okay, our infinitive. This one is not a direct object, okay? This is a predicate adjective, and all it's doing is it's describing our accusative subject, okay? So I just want to make sure you guys had the answer key, but I want to make sure some of those things seem like they were still a little bit unclear. All right, so let's move on from here. I'm guessing since most of you guys have gotten a few of your tests back, or your grades, so it looks like you guys did great on chapter 11. I'm so proud of you. This is not easy to do this virtually like this. So way to go, team, right? There's three parts to this team: the student, the mom, and the teacher. So we're getting it. All right, so speaking about tests, make sure if you haven't sent in those test scores that you do go on ahead and send those in to me. There's no quiz this week, so you don't have to send anything else to me except those test scores. And I'm a little bit behind on getting back to everybody on their treasure hunt. But if you turned that in, then you automatically get 100%. But I did try to look at each one, but I didn't quite have time to finish it before we left to go get our puppy and everything. So, okay. Let's talk about what this chapter is going to look like, okay? Which is all we're going to do for the rest of the year. So it's just chapter 12 till the end of the year. But I want to let you know something. So have you heard the expression going out with a bang, right? Well, that's basically what we're doing with chapter 12, okay? We're not going out, on easy street, just chilling, hanging out, although that would be fun. We are going out with a bang, okay? This is a big chapter when it comes to grammar and vocabulary, but I will say it's much heavier on the grammar side, okay? I outlined this in your email, but I want to make sure that you hear this, students, in case you didn't read the email. There are really 5 items that we are focused on grammar-wise. So that's more than we've ever really focused on before in a chapter. But there are 5 pretty big items that are going to go on that you need to know. The first 2 don't have a chart that goes with them, but the last 3, they do. So really, every single day, you need to drill these 3 charts, okay? So the first 2 are going to be dative of possession. You're going to learn what that means. And that was, how you had that special case rule, okay? So on the bottom here is dative, and you can see the second one is possession. You're also going to see the object of special verbs, but you've already been introduced to that. Gives obedience to or gives a command to. But dative of possession is the first one. The second one is accusative length of time and space. And you're going to see that, but neither of these are hard. They're just little fine-tuning, kind of like your ablative of means or something like that. So they're just little things, but you've got to know them. All right. The other 3 are third declension adjectives, which we're going to talk about later in the video. And then next week, we're going to talk about comparative adjectives, how to compare. Like, my hair is longer now than it's been in a very long time. Or this green is greener than this green, okay? I don't know, whatever, darker maybe. So comparative adjectives, we'll talk about that next week, along with fourth declension nouns. You've already had one of those, which was hand, manus, manus. We'll also talk about that next week. But I have attached in the email, all the grammar pages that you will need for the rest of the year. The 3 charts, the third declension adjectives, the comparative adjectives, and the fourth declension nouns, you need to start memorizing today, okay? Now, let's talk about this for just a minute. This is also outlined in your email, but I want to make sure that every student also hears this. Next week, your quiz will have your third declension adjective endings on it, along with the vocabulary from section 1 and 2, okay? So by next week's, you have to have that chart memorized. Okay, so this is kind of going to be a little faster than we usually like to do this. By the following week, May 21st, that week we'll have vocabulary from section 3 and also have the comparative adjective endings and your fourth declension noun endings. So that'll be a big quiz, okay? But we're doing that in order to prepare, or I'm doing that in order to prepare you for your test at the end. I want to make sure that you're going to have all that you need. Now, moms and students, I guess, when you look at everything that I have attached to the email that you need to print out about the adjectives, or third declension adjectives, we're going to call them adjectives, about your fourth declension nouns, and about your comparative adjectives, I also have the key in there, okay? So you can begin, even though we're not going to talk about all of those today, you can begin memorizing those now, okay? So again, we are going out with a bang. It's not an easy, we're not on easy street. Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're just going to read the first part of section 1, so really just lines probably 1 through 19 or so. We're not going to do the whole thing, and then we're going to talk about third declension adjectives. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, spending our day today. And again, next week we'll get into the comparative adjectives and the fourth declension nouns. Okay? All right, so what you need to do right now is go on ahead and get out your book, or open your book to Capitulum Duodecimum, okay? And you'll see the Miles Romanus on the front here. And you need to have your workbook open to have your vocabulary sheets in front of you. All right, so we're gonna go through this just like we've been doing, where you can pause after I read to translate with your mom. And then, pardon me, and I'll try to make sure I point out the new vocabulary this time, not like last video. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So, Miles Romanus. What do you think that might mean looking at that picture? The Roman soldier. All right, so we have Quintus frater Marci est. Quintus frater Marci est. So if you think about Quintus and Marcus, how are they related? So Quintus is the brother of Marcus. Julia soror Marci est. So think about how Julia is related to Marcus. Julia is the sister of Marcus. Good. Now, let's go on ahead, and on your sheet, you should have frater. What did that mean? That meant brother. And soror, which means sister. Now, if you take a look at the margin, you will see unus frater, duo fratres. So what declension is this? This is a third declension noun, okay? Masculine, because it's a boy, right? A brother. So you should put plural as fratres, and its gender is masculine. Okay, so soror is not in the margin, but if you keep reading, as we will do, you will find out what declension it is. Okay, we'll be able to, by talking about it, by figuring out which declension is, we'll be able to figure out what the plural is. Okay, so we'll wait on putting the plural in just a minute. Marcus et Quintus fratres Julii sunt. So Marcus and Quintus are the brothers of Julia. Marcus patrem et matrem fratrem et sororem habet. Okay, so let's look at that sororem and think about that. So what do we know as all of these are in the accusative because we see the word has. So Marcus has a patrem, a matrem, all direct objects, a fratrem, and a sororem. So they're all in the accusative singular. We know that our third declensions have any ace, m ace, right? So this is a third declension, just like frater. So we can put our plural in there next to soror as soror ace. Of course, we know it's feminine, right? Okay, great. So Marcus has a father and a mother, a brother and a sister. Nomen patris est Julius. So something of the father is Julius. What do you think nomen means? You're right, it means name, name. Okay, now I do want you to look in the margin for this one. Unum nomen duo nomina. So you should notice a few things. One is the adjective for unum and duo. Those indicate that it would be a neuter noun. Now look at the ending in your nomen. It's not a um, so it's not a second declension neuter. It would be a third declension, right? Nomen, nomina. Oh, wait a second. Third declension neuters. Okay. Da-da-da. I already pre-drew him. We need to add something to our little river guy, okay? We need to add a name tag, okay? If you're able to, I can't with this marker, but you could write in, you could give him a name, okay? Maybe, actually, I think I'm gonna name him Bob. So I'm gonna put a B on there for Bob. Okay, but this is his nomen, okay? His nomen. And how do we form that? So we would draw this off the side. Nomen, and it's plural, nomina. So nomen, nomina, nomen, nomina, right? For that neuter third declension. Okay, so we went ahead and write that in to your list here. It means name. And we'll talk about names a little bit in a little bit, okay? You can put in parentheses family name there if you'd like, but it's their name and its plural is nomina. And again, we already established anything on here, right, is what gender? A neuter. Okay. All right. So the name of the father is Julius. Nomen matris Aemilia est. The name of the mother is Aemilia. Quintus nomen fratris est. Quintus is the name of the brother. Nomen sororis est Julia. Figure that one out, right? The name of the sister is Julia. Marco una soror est. Marco una soror est. Now this is a really weird. Marco. Okay, let's think about this. I want you to try to figure out what this ending could possibly be. You really only have two possibilities. It's either an ablative singular or a dative singular. Now in this case, this is our first dative possession. So what I want you to do is get your highlighter out, and you can see in my book, I highlighted it, and above it I wrote dative possession. That's the only kind of English I ever want to see in your book, is something technical like that, okay? Okay, what this is, a dative of possession, is saying, we would probably translate this to Marcus, okay? So to Marcus, una soror est, is one sister. The other way we could translate it, but it gets more confusing this way, is you could translate it technically, you could say Marcus has one sister, okay? But in Latin, this is how they express that possession, okay? He has one sister. So what I want you to do is, it says dative plus est or sunt, and you can see that. See how there's an est at the end? That's the only time that this is going to be, it needs an est or sunt as well. Okay, you can write in there the dative has the nominative, but if that confuses you, just write dative of possession, okay? Either one. So let's look at the next sentence. Julii duo fratres sunt. So I see a sunt at the end. which should kind of indicate a little something to me. And I also see Yuli I. So I is either a genitive singular or it is that dative singular. And here we know, because it's saying Yulia are two brothers, that wouldn't quite make sense. Of Yulia are two brothers, that doesn't make sense. So we're saying to Yulia are two brothers, or Yulia has two brothers. You can translate it either way. To Yulia are two brothers. So this is again another dative of possession, so you can get out that highlighter and highlight that if you'd like. Nomina fratrum sunt Marcus et Quintus. So the names of the brothers are Marcus and Quintus. Patri et matri duo filii et una filia sunt. So take a look at your subjects here. This is different, right? Because they're both with the dative singular ending, okay? To the father and to the mother are two sons and one daughter. Now this may not look like a dative singular to you at first, patri et matri, but remember those are third declensions, right? So we get down any ace, m ace, is, em, e, ibis, et, ibis. Okay, so in that one it's actually easier because there's only one option for that e there. Okay, that I with a macron at the end. Okay. All right, I haven't missed anything on your vocabulary list. All right, matri Aemilia nomen est. So again, we see that dative. To the mother is the name Aemilia, or the mother has the name Aemilia. Quid patri nomen est? What name is to the father? Or what name does the father have? That's a little tricky, isn't it? It's kind of a weird construction. Patri nomen est Lucius Julius Bulbus. Okay. Again, we see another dative at the beginning here, another dative of possession. So to the father is the name Lucius Julius Bulbus. Viro Romano tria nomina sunt. So here we have viro Romano, another dative of possession. Okay, to the Roman man are tria nomina, three names. Lucius is actually how we would say that. Lucius est praenomen, id est nomen primum. Okay, so Lucius, or we usually say in English Lucius. Okay, Lucius est praenomen. Now, do you notice that little prefix on the front of nomen means before? Okay, so Lucius is the praenomen. In English, we just call it the praenomen. You could also write on there first name. Id est nomen primum. It is the first name. Okay, so on your sheet, go on and write first name, and then we can guess how to do the plural, right? Praenomina. It just keeps that prefix on the front. And we know if it's on here, it's a neuter. Okay, where are we? Oh, bulbus cognomen est. So bulbus is the cognomen. That means the name that goes with the name, with the nomen. But it is the family or branch name, the cognomen, the family branch name. And again, we're going to form the plural, so you can just add the prefix pri to the front of one of those, or cog. Okay, that's how you'd form that. So cognomina, and again, that's neuter. Okay, so I think I might just go on ahead and attach a video for you to watch. You can just watch the first couple of minutes. You don't need to watch the whole thing unless you're really into it. It's like 7 minutes long total, so maybe the first 3 or 4 minutes. Describe how they came up with these three names in the Roman culture, okay? But to kind of summarize, their praenomen is kind of their informal name, and their nomen is their big family name. And then if you're going to even get more specific, their cognomen is an even more specific part of the nomen. So maybe like instead of the full extended family, which is the nomen name, then you get even more specific. So you can see that in that video. It'll kind of describe it a little better for you. But let's go and keep moving. So filiis nomina sunt Marcus Julius Balbus et Quintus Julius Balbus. So to the sons are the names. So again, another dative of possession there at the beginning. Marcus Julius Balbus and Quintus Julius Balbus. Marcus et Quintus praenomina filiorum sunt. So Marcus and Quintus are the praenomens, the first names of the sons. So those are their informal names, okay? Alia praenomina Latina sunt Gaius, Decimus, Publius, Sextus, Titus. So other praenomens or other first names, other Latin first names are Gaius, Decimus, Publius, Sextus, and Titus. Aemilii unus frater est. Aemilii. What do you notice about that ending? It's another dative of possession. There's lots of dative of possessions here to help you get used to them, okay? To Aemilia is one brother. Or how else can we translate it? Aemilia has one brother. Fratri Aemilius nomen est. Praenomen Publius, cognomen Paulus. So to the brother is the name Aemilius, or the brother has the name Aemilius. Praenomen, so his first name is Publius, cognomen Paulus. Frater Aemilii avunculus liberorum est. So the brother of Aemilia is the avunculus. There's another new word. Do you hear the word in there? Avunculus, the uncle. Okay? So the brother of Aemilia is the uncle of the children. Okay, so we're going to stop right there. You get to keep reading this week, the rest of section 1 and also section 2 that's going to get into, because Aemilius, not to ruin the story, is a Roman soldier, Aemiles Romanus. So I hope that makes sense with that dative of possession. All right, so now we're going to move into part 2 of our lesson, where we're going to talk about third declension adjectives is how we're going to call them. Adjectives. Here's my sheet. Okay, so you need to get your sheet out that looks like this. Okay, and yes, our friendly little chameleons are down here to remind you that these are like chameleons. Now, good news is that nouns have 5 declensions, okay? And remember, this chapter we're going to be learning the 4th. You don't learn the 5th until chapter 13, or maybe past that, actually. I don't remember. But it's next year. But adjectives only have 3. You've already learned first and second. So let's look at the top of your page where it says adjectives. Oh, that's weird. Adjectives rules. Okay. It should say adjective rules. All right. So adjective rules, here they are. Adjectives modify nouns in what 3 ways? We already know this. You should know this just like fly off the tip of your tongue. In case, number, and gender. Adjectives modify the nouns in case, number, gender. Case, number, gender. Very good. They decline according to their own declension, their own family. They come with their endings, right? And they stay in those endings. That's really, really important because we're moving into third declension adjectives here soon. Okay, so the hint that I put there for that is that they look like the first and second declension nouns. Now, I want you to pause the video and I want you to write in your masculine singular and plural, feminine singular and plural, neuter singular and plural, adjective first and second endings. Okay, so hopefully you've paused the video, you've written those in. Now let's check them. We're going to start with the masculine. We'll do masculine singular, then plural, all the way down like that, and then we'll do our feminine, okay? So masculine, us, I with a macron, os, orum, o, is, o, is. You should have that by heart easy by now, right? Because of all your memory period that you're doing every single week, right? Okay, just making sure. Okay. Anyways, have to entertain myself somehow, right? Okay, feminine singular and plural. I, as, I, arum, I, is, is. Now, make sure your mom checks these too. She has the key, okay? Your neuter, I, orum, o, is. Okay, those should have been easy. They just fly off the end of your tongue. You know those. All right, it's helpful to have them all in the same place because you're going to be using them all as we move along. Okay, through the chapter, I mean. Now let's talk about third declension adjectives, okay? Adjectives. I'm going to just go ahead and take our little friend down because I don't want it to confuse anyone. All right, so adjectives, they look like third declension nouns, which is great. Okay, so they're very similar to their third declension noun endings, which we know those already, right? We have been pounding those in our head for the last two chapters, chapter 10 and 11. You're probably sick of me talking about third declension nouns. You're like, oh, enough already. Okay, well, third declension adjectives are very similar to our third declension nouns, okay? We call them adjectives because they have a lot of I's, the letter I. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and write these out on the board, okay? So you have your masculine and feminine, and we're going to do singular and plural, and then you'll have your neuter, singular, and plural. Okay, so let's just do these. We have is. Now they're all going to end in is, okay? Unlike our third declension adjectives where it could be anything, right? They are going to be is, ace, my board's shaking like crazy. Here we go. Ace, is, Now what I want you to notice here are how there are so many I's, okay? Ibis, and again, I's like crazy, ibis. Now, not as many as like our eight-eyed monster, right? But there are still a lot of I's. Okay, so can you see all that in there? All right, so you should be writing that into your chart down there at the bottom, okay? So you should be writing that down in there. All right, now your neuters, they come to you a little bit different, okay? They don't just have anything here. They come with the letter e at the end, and then the plural is ia, ia, which is what we would expect. We expect that a at the end, okay? And then the rest look just like this. Okay, is, iam, ibis, ibis. All right. That's hopefully not too hard. It looks pretty similar, and if you can remember that they are what we call adjectives. That's what we'll call our third declension adjectives pretty much from now on. You'll just hear me saying adjectives to help you remember the I's in here, okay? This one looks very similar to your, your other one with all the I's. Okay, now let's look at some examples of this, okay? So at the bottom of your sheet, we have examples, okay? So we have a masculine example, I have a feminine example down there, and I have a neuter example. Now for our masculine example, I'm going to use the noun gladius, okay? Gladius. Now, what I want you to pay attention to is that this is a first or second declension noun, okay? But remember how our adjectives are like chameleons, right? And they modify in case, number, and gender. Do you remember at the very beginning of the year how I said we don't want to use the word matches, right? Because when we tried to say the long sword, we said longus, right? And we said that this one modifies this one, right? It is telling us more about this word. And so far, they've pretty much looked the same. But remember when we changed to a third declension noun, we were using a little different endings, right? Because we were using a third declension noun with a first, second declension adjective. Okay, so we want to use, there's a couple of new words you'll learn in the second section. So actually, look at your second section. Okay, your section 2. Now I want you to look at where it says brevis, gravis, and levis. Okay, we are just going to use this first one, brevis. I want to point something out to you. Well, actually, I'll just keep holding it up. Do you notice where it says brevis? That I have above it, I have masculine and feminine above the is, and above the it's neuter, right? So before now, when you'd see an adjective, I'm going to erase my little guy. When you'd see an adjective listed in your vocabulary, it would have us, right? And that was the indicator to you on your vocabulary list. Oh yeah, this is an adjective. Okay, well from now on, and this would be the masculine, right, the feminine, and the neuter. When you have, not from now on, but when they give you, from this point forward, if they give you one that looks like this, this is a third declension adjective, okay? This first one here is your masculine feminine ending, just like we see, right? And then this one here is our neuter, just like we see here. Okay, so for example, when we looked at that sheet, we have brevis. So as soon as I see it, I see that it's listed this way, okay? And I know that this is the masculine feminine ending, this is the neuter. All right, so I just want to kind of, some of those things just, they're not explicit in your workbook. So those are the things that I need to point out to you as your teacher, okay, so that you understand that. All right, so this word actually means short, okay, short. So have you ever heard anyone say, pardon my brevity, or pardon the brevity of this? You could start saying that in your emails. You would sound so smart. Pardon the brevity of this email, right? It sounds very sophisticated. Well, it is, right? Pardon how short this email is what you're saying. Okay, so, ta-da! so we want to say a short sword, okay? Bre here. And then we're going to do, what was the second one? Oh, these are actually, this is actually words you haven't learned yet, but this will be kind of fun. Okay, so then we have a hasta, okay? If you look in your book, you will see the gladius, the pilum, and the hasta, okay? If you look in your book on page 134. Okay, the hasta is the lance, okay? This is the lance, and then the pilum is the spear, the shorter one, okay? So let's talk about each one. What if we were saying that each one was short? So this one's masculine. So if I wanted to say the short sword, I'm in the masculine category. I'm a singular nominative here. So I would write brewis, okay? If I wanted to say a short, they're all about the same size, but let's say it was a short lance. Maybe it got broken on the end, okay, on one end, and so it was a shortened one. Okay, a short lance, okay, my short lance. This is feminine. Now we know our masculine and feminine endings are actually the same. So this one would be brewis. Now a pilum, the spear. This one's neuter. So we're going to need this one, brewe. All right, so hopefully that makes sense as far as all of those examples go. And we're going to be, you're going to be using these a lot in your worksheets or in your exercises as you go about over through this chapter. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I think that is most of what I wanted to hit on today. All right, so again, turn in your test scores and make sure that you begin learning these charts. So this is a must know chart. It's going to be on your quiz next week, but I don't want you to stop there. You also have a few other sheets. You'll have one that looks like this that we'll talk about next week, where we're comparing the sizes of our chameleons, okay? And this one, which is, again, your parents have the key to this. You can read the top if you want to go in and make yourself familiar with it. And then you have your fourth declension noun endings. So start studying those now. You need to be doing them every day, okay? So a little extra drilling there in order to get those in your brain so that they slip right off your tongue like those first and second declension adjectives did today. Okay, well, that's it for today. I hope that you guys are all doing well, and I would love to hear from any and all of you. So we will talk to you later. Bye, guys.